I'm Josh Farley, president of Redline Electric and Solar. Join me as we talk to contractors, business owners, and experts who are willing to share their experiences to help you overcome obstacles when you're taking your business up and to the right. Happy Monday. We're here with Shaina Weisinger. She is the co-founder of Video Podcast Producers and the president and CEO of Wake Brand Media. We're going to talk about the power of video.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Tell us, so they know who you are. Tell us what you do and who you do it for.
All right, so I do video production for digital marketing, just across the board. So like Wake Brand Media specializes in creating really efficient video production for businesses. The reason I started it was because I saw that there was a really big hole to fill that businesses I was hearing one of two different things. So either a business owner was saying, all of them said they knew they needed video, but they were like, it's going to be horribly expensive because they're looking at like 5 figures for 1 2-minute video that they're going to like throw on YouTube and hope that somebody sees it and buys something.
Right.
Or they got it at a discount and it was like some kid who happens to own iMovie and an iPhone,
right.
you know? So there was this like weird in-between spot where I was like, I had a marketing background and I knew that they could get way more video for, some sort of ROI. And then also creating some sort of strategy, making sure that it got implemented within the strategy. A lot of the times a business owner would be like, I need this video.
Right.
And then it's my job to be like, no, wait, let's talk about what your marketing strategy is, and then we'll talk about what video you need.
No, I want to be famous. Just put me on YouTube.
I just want to talk about my business. I'm like, nobody cares about your business because they don't know who you are yet. Let's give some good value-based content. So that's the reason I started Wake, was just to be able to be more efficient, have an ROI, and be strategic in
Got
video.
it. So who do you do it for? Who's your target market?
Really, any business. Every business needs, every business needs video. So, I've done it for different types of companies across the spectrum. I've done tech, I've done startups, I've done contractors.
What's your favorite?
They're all just so different.
That's like picking between your two children.
It's just interesting. I think that a type of business will become my favorite when I've been inundated with another type of business.
Gotcha.
You just kind of get in a grind of like, I've been doing a whole lot of service based, and then you do a tech and you're like, oh, this is cool.
Right.
And then you get sick of tech because you've been doing a lot of tech. So then you end up with
That's just an entrepreneurial disease.
Cool.
You're like, I want to try something different.
Yeah, right. Let's hop from the one thing to the next.
Okay, so let's talk about video versus print. What is video good for SEO?
Oh, absolutely.
How did they pick up on what you're saying versus what's typed or written out?
Well, if you are super savvy, which actually we should be talking about this with your podcast, you should be transcribing all of your videos and putting them on your website. So Google loves video if you're loading into YouTube, right?
Yep.
Because you've got SEO on YouTube. YouTube is the second most used search engine on the web, and it's owned by Google, so hello. So if you're putting video on your website, and you can do a little to read the transcription right below it, that's like a drop down, so it's not just a bunch of text sitting there. You can actually have it as a click. You can have your video transcribed on Fiverr for $10. It's nothing.
Or Rev.
Yeah, or whatever, right? And then now you've got a 2-minute video, which is thousands of words, that's applicable SEO that's going into your website, in addition to the good SEO you're getting from the video itself.
So I'm going to have to add that.
Oh man, it's amazing.
If you're watching, take that note. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so videos for advertising, let's go through what kind of videos can you, there's tons, right?
There's so much. Well, obviously there's the standard company overview videos. Who are you and what do you do and why do you do it, right? Then there's recruiting videos that we've done for Redline.
Yep.
And that's important because it's just as important to get the right people in your doors to work for you and understand who you are and your culture, and also be appealing to them, to the right kinds of people. So those types of videos are really big. But then also value-based content. That's where I think a lot of businesses miss the boat, in the sense that they come right out of the gates with an ad about them, and you don't know these people. It's like some random guy walking down the street with a trench coat on. I was like, buy a Rolex. It's like, I don't know you, bro. But if you'd been talking to somebody who's been giving you information about how to research watches, what types of watches are the best kind, here, let me show you how they fit, and giving you value-based information, then by the time they're ready to buy the Rolex, you're the obvious choice for them because they've accumulated so much knowledge and they feel like they've gotten it for free, which really it should be. So those types of videos, like knowing who your audience is and how they can benefit from different pieces of information that you can offer, and then you gain trust, and then voila.
My wheels are already spinning on how I'm like, wait a second.
I know, I see
need to
his
be at
eyes
the
going back and
office.
forth.
Go, I need to be doing this. I wish I should be taking notes. So let's start. How did you get in? How did you start your own business? What did you do before?
I'm an entrepreneur at heart, for sure. I always really have been. I've done video production forever. Like, I was the only person in my family when I was like in 4th grade who knew how to work the video camera.
Right.
And my cousin and I would have like sleepovers over the weekend and do all these crazy videos. I'd like do special effects. I'd have like 3 VCRs in the back room in our like sunroom, and I'd be plugging stuff in. So when I was a kid, apparently this was my calling. But I was in the service industry for a long time, which I think everybody should have to do.
Right.
Because did you ever work in a restaurant?
Oh, we.
You think we all have. We all have not.
Wait, right.
We have.
I try to forget those days.
But I think you learn valuable lessons about how to handle people in
sure.
general. Anyway, but I did service for a long time. But while I was doing that, I started a company a long time ago. It's actually literally the exact company Chris Ronzio had. And it was doing game footage for athletes and for competitions, right? So I ended up getting really heavy into hockey. So we were doing hockey tournaments. It was called Blowout Media. We were doing hockey tournaments and getting contracted with dozens and dozens of teams who would come into town for like a 3 or 4 day tournament. And we would just capture and then give DVDs. But I got to a point where it was either like I got really crazy busy and I had a ton of requests, and I either had to invest a lot of money and gear and people and like grow fast, or I just needed to pump the brakes and take a second, because I'd never been in like a business ever. I was serving tables. Like, I don't know how to do this.
Was it a business? Did you have an LLC? Were you?
It was an LLC,
Gotcha.
but I didn't know the first thing about.
Right.
I knew how to run a camera and how to like make people happy, which I guess is a good thing to have in business. But I felt like there was just so much more I needed to learn before I could like take money, real money, and try to evolve a huge business out of myself. So I went and I started working. I worked a couple corporate jobs, which was actually really good because I ended up working at Bondurant, and I learned a ton about marketing, digital marketing, and just branding and all of those things, which really helped mold what Wake became. Out of that, it was just a series of events that turned into me doing a freelance job for a business coach who worked at Max 6, which was at that time they were like an incubator, and we were doing the Infusionsoft conference, and I was trying to make some big. I mean, how do you get people to go to a booth that a business coach is running?
And that's a big convention, right?
It's a huge, and it's gotten much bigger over the time. But this was in 2014, and I was trying to come up with ways like, it's a business coach. How do we get people to be interested in his booth? So we did this big hoopla with like lights, camera, action. We were running around interviewing people, and all of these business owners kept coming up to me and saying the same thing I said earlier. They were like, "Do you do video for business?"
Right.
And we know we need it, but it's either too expensive or I got burned. And that's where I was like, maybe it's time again.
Right.
Yeah, it actually, so it kind of came out of me freelancing and necessity.
That's Wake Brand.
And that's Wake Brand Media.
And you're not doing Wake Brand full time right now?
Because I got to this place where, and I feel we were talking about this earlier, entrepreneurs just do this a lot. Yep. It got big, and it got too big for me personally to handle, and I got really, really overwhelmed, and I felt like I was drowning, because a lot of it is that being able to like assess an issue or assess like a marketing and create strategy. So for me, it was different than just hiring videographers to just go shoot video. It was more me that was infiltrated in it, and I didn't know how to remove myself. So I wanted to find something that was recurring, that was just like I could train people to do it and create something that could be sold eventually, right? So I ended up talking with my friend Mike, who we both know, Mike Garcia, and I had helped him create his podcast.
Hey, Mike.
Hi, Mike. I ended up helping him create his podcast, The GSD Show, and it became hugely successful. Like, his business just skyrocketed afterwards.
Crazy.
And I mean, it was due to other elements outside of the podcast, but it really did help. And he has a whole team of people now who create this thing for him, and he's got a couple podcasts. But he was like, you know what? Like, people ask me all the time how to do this. And it's really not that hard. It's just, it takes
Right.
If you don't know,
little
you don't
structure.
know. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Processes.
Processes, exactly. So out of that, he was like, I think that's what your next step is, because that's your recurring. That's something you can train people to do. And so that's what I went off and
And
did.
it's along the lines of your passion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's video podcast
Video
producers.
podcast producers. And the nice thing is it's all value-based content.
Right.
You're
Which
giving
is what we're
to your
giving away right
clients.
now. That's what I'm doing
So,
right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes, all right, let's do this. So you're
Awesome. So outside of what you do and how you do it, like what are some of the things that you would have done different? Like if you were to start a business tomorrow, what would you do that you didn't do then?
Well, I kind of am starting a business at the moment. I'm doing it all differently.
For sure, yeah.
I would have. One thing that I find interesting, actually, it's fun because as I'm producing these, I get to hear all of these amazing podcasts and people that are doing great things talk about their passions and what they've learned. And one thing that I've heard, and it was from Chris Ronzio, actually, and he was saying that a lot of the people who are most successful in their businesses or who scale quickest are the ones who can't really do whatever it is that they're selling.
Right.
Because they can look at a higher level and hire people to do it and scale. And it's the people who actually do the trade who have a really hard time getting their hands out of it and just letting it grow.
Which is us as contractors.
Right. So I think that is really the next step for me is creating something that I'm not necessarily the best at. I can maybe do. But just being able to put people in place and create all of the processes in the back end and be able to have like really great training processes. Everything's documented, get it out of my head and onto the paper, and
a great environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great advice too, because he said that and I was like, that's me.
I
Like,
know. I sat
it's
behind
so
the camera.
hard. I'm like, dang it, that's us. That's us. Too bad.
Guilty.
That's awesome. So let's talk about podcasts.
Sure.
So podcast is I've got one.
Yeah.
You've got one.
Well, it hasn't launched yet, but yes, I have a lot of episodes filmed.
So
Yeah.
So that's like the newest thing. What's the difference between a podcast versus just video marketing?
Podcasting is so unique in the sense that in lots of different ways, but I think that like the biggest draw to it is the fact that your listeners are so sticky. As a video producer for marketing, I know that if I'm posting a video ad on Facebook, or even just a piece of content that's a video on Facebook, and I get 10 seconds of engagement consistently, like that's a win.
Right.
10 seconds. Like what world do we live in
Right.
where that's exciting, right? But with a podcast, it's like 80% of listeners listen to the majority of an episode.
Gotcha.
And if episodes are 15 minutes to an hour, that's 7 minutes minimum that people are listening to your content consistently.
Right.
And that to me is like mind-blowing that somebody's going to spend that much time on one piece of content every single week. So to me, you're creating a following of people that they may not purchase from you right then and there, but then you can also retarget and use that in your marketing strategy to then keep them in your system of whatever it is that you're selling or giving or whatever.
So this show, we're just giving it away.
Right.
Just kind of giving back. Other people are using their podcast to talk about their products or services. Right. What makes a good podcast host? Or what makes it a podcast interesting or worth listening to?
I think that you need to know who your audience is. You need to know what they're interested in and why are they listening. And you're right, it should be a give. It should be a give from the get-go, and then if you're funneling stuff into it, then great. But I think that it's just marketing in general is knowing who your audience is and why they're going to care about it. You know, especially if it's something you're passionate about. I think that will translate on screen and through. I mean, if you're doing a video podcast, but it'll also translate audio-wise as well. If you're excited about what it is that you're talking about, then your listeners will also, you'll find the right listeners and they'll really feel the passion there.
Does a podcast have to have a guest?
No.
Can it? I mean, so that would be like a vlog?
I mean, I guess you could kind of think of it that way. There are a lot of podcasts that don't have guests. I think that the reason a lot of people do guests is because cross-promotion is amazing because you have another person sharing it and their audience is probably going to want to watch it. So I think that you grow your audience a lot faster. But also it kind of takes the onus of information and expertise off of yourself a little bit.
Right.
So you can be the one asking the questions.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right. And then
I'm an expert. Don't ask me anything, though.
Right, but you become the authority through that person's information. So it really just makes you an authority very quickly.
Gotcha.
And you're not even giving the information.
Right. No, that's great. I'm the authority.
But he is the authority.
Okay. Doesn't matter. You can ask me on your show.
But then what happened, I've heard from a lot of people, though, is even in shows that are guest driven, a lot of the listeners do want to hear from the host.
Right.
Like sprinkled through. They're like, that's great, but we also want to hear what they have to say.
Got it.
So, even bringing somebody on who can interview you.
Where do you start as a contractor? Is it your cell phone? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, where's a good place for a contractor to just start with?
Oh, with video.
Video.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Or just in general.
I'll let you
Where do
edit
start?
this episode.
No problem. I'm just going to leave it all. I don't care.
Whatever.
Yeah, right. I think that just starting to use video in general with your phone. Like there's a couple of companies that do it pretty well. Like Eli is always on his phone, and I love it because you get to see he's wherever he is that needs to be. He's talking about something relevant to the people who are watching, and I do think that there is a need for professional video also. Especially like on your landing page when you're talking about your business. Like it's important to show quality because you should take that kind of pride in your business.
Right.
But there's also a huge place to use organic video, which is like Facebook Live and just using your phone. There are things you can do to help yourself, like good lighting. Like and it's silly things, like just don't film in direct sunlight. Go under a shaded area and film because now it's beautiful light.
Guilty.
Everybody is. It is what it is.
Filters, beauty face.
Yeah.
Beauty face filters.
Yeah, but there's just a couple of small pointers that you can do. Still make it look good. Just make sure your information is relevant.
Right.
That's it.
Well, I'll tell you, since we put the videos on our website, and even for both our customer side and our employee-facing side, and then what little I do outside of that has really became, people are talking to me, they say, hey, I saw your video, I see you, I relate to you, you're a human being, we are contracting with human beings, these are actual people that work and live in our state, so it's setting us apart from our competition. Entry-level equipment, maybe. So you're doing a package where they can do it at home, like at their office, or
for sure.
Tell us about that.
So when I created Video Podcast Producers, we decided to do an entire back end that's like an education system, and it takes you everywhere from like how to brand your podcast to how to be a good host, how to reach out to your guests, templates on how to reach out to your guests, all the way to producing it and then post-producing it and then marketing it. And that was stuff we had to do anyway. So I was like, why wouldn't we package this and sell it? Because a lot of people, it's not impossible to do on your own. Really, it's not. So it's lights, cameras, and some mics. And it doesn't even have to be to this scale. So yeah, there's an entire package online that allows you to do it. If you have a dedicated space, which is the best way to do it because you just set it and forget it. You just press buttons when you walk in. You really don't need that much space to do it or that much money. I think the package that we have that gives you everything that you need is maybe $2,000.
Wow.
But that's 3 cameras, all the microphones, all the SD cards. We go as far as to like, you need 3 extension cords and maybe some gaff tape so you don't trip on it,
Right. So, no, because we tried to do some stuff in-house and like we had to reshoot it 16 times because the volume wasn't right, the mic didn't sit right, and it's been a nightmare trying to do it. But you set a process, and it's step by step. You make it easy, for sure.
And then there's also there's different pieces you can add to it. Where if you want to have some sort of like coaching, like we can get on a Skype with you and show you how to set everything up. If you're local, we'll come out and just be like, here's how you set it up. Here's where it needs to be. And then if you're smart, you're using your iPhone and documenting the whole deal, so that you just give it to your marketing guy and you're like, do it.
Got it. Number one video they need.
A company overview video. Who are you and why do you do it and who do you do it for?
How long should that video be?
Under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes.
Yeah, but generally they go to like 2.5.
10 seconds, because they only watch 10 seconds of it.
But here's the deal. If you're doing a company overview video and it's on your website, you're talking to a different person than you're advertising to on Facebook. So if they're on your website, they're interested in information. So you can get away with a little bit longer content because they want to know.
Gotcha.
If you're going to hit them straight out of the gates on a Facebook ad, you have this much time, like 0 time. For those listening, this is a 0 with my ads. It's just different. So you can get away with longer format content.
Got it.
On your website.
Do you have one for you?
Yes, I do.
Of course you do.
You know what it is? It's a whole bunch of other people's footage I shot.
Oh, yeah.
And then me and a testimonial. I totally think you need to have testimonials in your company overview video. So I think it's a tie. Company overview video and testimonials. If you're smart, you put them both together.
We've got them both together.
Yeah, well, because you used us.
Right, of course. Of course. That's number one.
Yeah.
So do you like owning your own business? And then do you ever think about quitting?
Oh, I love owning my own business. I say I'd be a horrible employee. I think I'd be a good employee. I just don't want to be an employee. Maybe that's what it is.
Right.
Do I ever think about quitting? I don't ever think about quitting being an entrepreneur. Sometimes I want to take on different projects. I want to like be done with one thing and start something fresh. And I think a lot of it is because of the things that I've learned, and I want to grow something new.
Okay.
But then when it's working, it's like,
right.
Well, I have this thing that works and makes money, but
we all get a little distracted.
Let's just go this way. Yeah.
Sure.
So quitting, no, but just quitting maybe specific things. Yes.
If you didn't do this, what would you do?
Oh, I would go be like a beach bum somewhere.
Just a bum. You went right from owning my own business to living on the street.
No, I mean, but if I had like
beach.
money, that'd be
Right.
great. If I didn't, I don't know. I have no idea what I would do if I wasn't doing video production. Like I said, probably something that I could manage and create and grow more strategically than being inundated in the craft.
That's great.
Is that the right answer? The wrong answer? What is
that? There's no wrong answer.
I feel like my first one was the wrong answer.
No, beach bum sounds good. My wife would love to do that.
I'm afraid of being in the deep water though, so I
That's
think
why
that
it's
would be
beach. Stay to the
counterproductive.
beach.
Right, exactly.
Just
Okay,
don't ever touch the water.
Right, perfect.
What do you do to get new customers?
You know what's crazy is up until now, it's been all word of mouth. I was doing a lot of LinkedIn at the very beginning, and that worked really, really well because I'm a B2B, so I needed to reach out to other businesses. So I mean, Facebook can work. I haven't gotten much traction on it. It's good to have that content there.
Is there advertising on LinkedIn?
You can now, yeah, with video too. I wasn't doing that before. Before it was more just reaching out to like CMOs of businesses, CEOs of smaller companies, and just saying, hey, giving stats about video and whatever. And yeah, that's one thing I think is crazy, that people who will connect with you on LinkedIn, they'll send you the invite and you say yes, and then they never talk to you again.
Right.
It's like,
well, I had somebody doing my LinkedIn for me at one point, and they were answering messages. I don't even know what they were saying. There's conversations that I've had that weren't me.
So if you tried to talk to Josh on LinkedIn.
So I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah.
And then we get so many notifications from so many different things. I turn them off.
Right.
And if I don't get back in there.
Yeah.
And now I do it myself, but I don't get in there.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're outreaching and trying to get business.
For sure.
I mean, because I get a lot of people who do that. But most of my connections that I've done a lot of business with has just been me connecting with them and then me sending a follow-up email. Hey, this is how video is awesome for your business.
Right.
What are you doing with video that's awesome?
Hey, I'm a real human being, and not some service.
And I'm not going to lie, it's a copy and paste, but I mean, it's still like a real person.
Still effort. It's real effort.
But it's amazing the difference. But for a while it was that. Now the next step for Wake is actually government contracts.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that. There are very little companies who are doing it. Not little, they're not tiny companies.
There's
the quantity is small.
There's a small amount.
Yes.
There's very little companies.
They're tiny, tiny baby companies. No, there's only a couple of companies that are doing video production, and they also favor minority and female base. So I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm very excited.
That's a niche.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
It is. If I could do that just from here on out, I'd be happy.
Right. Anything you think we didn't cover?
I mean, we talked about video.
Talked about
podcasts.
Company overview.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that that stops people from doing video is just there's a couple of things: being overwhelmed by how much they think they need, and being afraid to be on camera.
Nerves.
Yeah.
I mean,
you mean excitement?
Excitement. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Thank you, Simon.
That's right. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Even when it's something as small as my marketing administrative marketing person comes in and goes, "Hey, we need a video for," and he pulls out his phone. Immediately, you feel
panic.
Right.
Yes, I know. I was panicked to do this.
Right, and you're here all the time.
I know.
But I get it. I feel it. It's a real thing. How do you have some resource to help your customers? I mean, because that's what it is. You have to find some way to get over that.
You do, really, you do. I think that, for us, what I think I'm good at, you can tell me if I am or not, but it's, as a producer, getting somebody to relax in front of a camera is kind of an art form, and it's something that you learn over time. So if you're doing a real production, having a good producer that you trust that will calm you down, that's a great thing.
No, you do a great job.
Thank you. He has to say that because I'm right here. But if you're doing it yourself, and if it's like Facebook Live or whatever, it sounds silly. Practice in the mirror. And also, videotape yourself when you aren't going live, because you'll notice you're doing things that you have no idea you're doing. I'm going to watch this later and be like, oh, God, I did this, and this. But
I drank out of that cup.
I put it right here the whole time in front of my face and nobody can see me.
I would tell you, it is awkward, though. You feel awkward when you think somebody's watching, but you almost feel even worse when you're by yourself and nobody's watching, because you think this is stupid. But that really practice does make perfect, and it helps it helps. The more you do it,
It
the better.
does. It's funny. I had one of our new podcast clients. He saw his first episode. Well, we filmed a bunch of them. We front loaded, which is really important when you're doing podcasts.
Yep.
Just side note: front load, make a bunch of them, and then go live. But he made his first and second episodes he filmed later on. And then the first episode he filmed is like the third episode, and he saw it. He's like, "Oh, it's just painful to watch," because he got a chance to now see.
Did we do that?
I don't think so.
Maybe one
I think
or
we
two.
were
Yeah, close.
something like that. But it was things I was telling him. I was like, "Listen,
Right.
I need you to do this, this, and this," while he's there, and he didn't understand it until he saw it. And I was like,
So some of the things, like when I watch ours, I like when I look at the camera, even though that's probably the most awkward thing to do is to talk to somebody that's not even there.
Right.
Even though I know when I'm watching it, I feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
When I'm watching somebody else's, I feel like I'm there. And when they're looking at the camera, I feel like they're talking to me.
Right.
So that's something I'm trying to be conscious of.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. So
Right.
it's definitely practice. With anything, you got to practice your trade, whatever it may be.
yeah, definitely. It's funny because like this style of being, and there's different ways to be in front of the camera too. Like this kind of thing for some people is really, really easy because it's just a conversation.
Right.
For me, it's a heck of a lot easier. Like I'm in front of the camera a lot, but not in this setting. I do
Right.
a lot of like goofy marketing videos where I'm like telepromptering and acting
All
ridiculous.
the process videos that I've got.
Yes, that's
Yep.
right. But that's me by myself in a dark room.
Right.
And anytime that there's an outtake, it's me talking to nobody. So
Well, I've talked to myself on my cell phone trying to do stuff, and I'll shoot it over and over 15 probably
Yeah.
times before I feel it's okay to put out.
Right.
And then even then I cringe as I hit send.
yeah, but at some point you just gotta send it.
Yeah, we just do
you know?
it. We're human beings.
Right.
What else can we do?
Do that.
No, you're awesome. I use her. You guys should use her. How do we get a hold of you?
So I'm all over social. Is Shaina Weisinger, and check out videopodcastproducers.com and wakebrandmedia.com.
Wake Brand?
Yeah,
Wake Brand.
Wake Brand Media. It's hard to say.
A little bit.
Wake Brand. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing here, subscribe to our podcast at iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to see more episodes. Go to upandtotheright.org to get all the links.